afternoon. Happy Friday. Welcome to the September 10th, 2021 edition of News from the Front Lines of Business by DW Huff Consulting. For those of you that are new to our channel and don't know us, we're a CPA firm and a business consulting operation here running out of Chalmette, Louisiana, providing tax and small business advice and helping everybody kind of reach their potential. Here we are, September 10th here, 2021. In case you haven't been following the news here, we just recently went through another near miss of a hurricane here. Thankfully, us in St. Bernard are doing okay, but we've got some other parts of the state that got hit pretty hard. But I guess before we get into that, fun with numbers. So also here that now that it's September 10th, we noticed that if you were watching television last night, that the NFL has started up again. So football's back. And this other statistic that recently came to my attention here, this fun with numbers here for this week, is 205,000. So as you're seeing these referees, and I think there was a couple little controversy last night over a missed call, but turns out these guys make a pretty good living officiating those games here. And the average salary of those individuals is about $205,000. So, and they have some other benefits that go along with it. So that's kind of interesting. So I guess for all I guess for all the calls that they do get right, we can see that these are highly trained and for the most part skilled professionals here. But yeah, $205,000. So I found that interesting. All right, but news from the front. So yeah, and so storm is now past us here, and we're kind of getting back to normal. So here in Chalmette, Louisiana, we're close to normal. So I think power came on over the course of the last week. So you notice on last week's news from the front lines, we were recording from our evacuation location here out there in Dallas, and now we're back and things are power's on and roads are cleared, and other than some cleanup and some minor repairs, we're luckily enough that we didn't get hit very hard. But we've got a lot of things to kind of look at here. Disaster assistance, so how to apply for assistance from these federal agencies. A little information I learned over the week about generators that I found was kind of interesting. On a tax side of things, we have some extended due dates here due to the impact of the storms here, depending on which parish in Louisiana or county in Mississippi you are located. And a little good news about the cow, if you that was rescued. There's some footage of that we're going to share with you in a minute. But there was a cow down in Reggio who somehow gotten herself stuck in a tree, and it was a kind of a project to get her out of the tree, and she's good now. But I'll show you some updates on that. But all right, so in order to get any kind of assistance here, assistance.gov is like the main website. So if you haven't already done so and you're in one of the affected areas, go here, put in your information. To get the process started, they don't ask for a whole lot. Really, it's the address where you reside, social security numbers, names of everybody in your household, and whether or not you had homeowners insurance. So that will get things started. And I was one of the first ones to sign up for this as soon as it became available. And there's a couple different assistance programs available. So one is to deal with your living expenses for hotel rooms and evacuation costs, and the other is like a miscellaneous disbursement there for just, I guess, incidental type expenses. So from my experience, the portion of it that's supposed to cover your living expenses, you're going to probably get denied for that one initially, because that is a part of the homeowner's insurance policy. So most people have this thing called ALE. So it's an associated living expenses rider that's on everybody's policy. So if for some reason your policy does not contain that rider and you had to evacuate, then you have to send that proof of not being covered to SBA, and they will go ahead and process the claim there and get you some help on that one. But there's another portion of it, which is looks to me like, from whatever I've spoken to in my own experience, it's a $500 I guess kind of a stipend for just miscellaneous gas and food expenses as you were away from your home. And that came through pretty quickly for most people. So there's so of those two things, the one will probably generate some money kind of quickly, and the other will probably take a while, depending on how things go with your insurance company. And you'll notice here in Louisiana, the insurance commissioner kind of publicly blasted some of the companies, because some were using some I don't want to say shady, but technicalities to avoid paying those ALE costs, while others were just paying it out. So who knows how fast that's going to turn into dollars that you can use, but the insurance companies are supposed to pay that, so be on the lookout. But in any case, there's no reason not to register here on this disaster assistance website and get the process started. All right, a generator. So one thing that came up as kind of a follow-up is that FEMA in the affected areas here is reimbursing people for chainsaws and generators, and that's kind of a small dollar amount. I want to say that the maximum I saw on, at least in my area, for the generators was about $800, which gets you, like a 6,000 to 8,000 watt unit there. So I kind of looked at a chart to kind of figure out, what's the possibility of something so small keeping my household going in the storm. And this chart was provided that showed a bunch of common appliances and how many watts they draw on a typical basis. So that'll give you an idea, depending on how much stuff you got in your house, which you might be able to manage. And I think what I saw, in most cases, 6,000 watts will keep most houses going. But yeah, I guess it varies, because I'm looking at some of the things that I found kind of surprising was this electric water heater at 4,000 watts. And then I looked down at the heating and AC, which I thought would have been pretty much the highest of all the things. And some of those central air conditioning units are below 4,000. So that was a little bit surprising to me. But that may come in handy as you're planning for the next disaster. And it seems like the generators are becoming more and more popular, and it seems like people really have a system down pat for utilizing those things now. So consideration for the next storm for sure. Due date extension. So this is something that they are surprised at how fast this information became available. But depending on where you're located, there are some extended due dates. So I'm not following the New Jersey stuff very much, because I have very little work out that way. But in Mississippi, there are all the counties in Mississippi, their next due date, which would have been September 15th, and October 15th will be the next due date for the individuals. They've extended all that till November 1st, so they have a kind of a shorter break than Louisiana. And Louisiana extensions take us all the way to January 3rd of 2022. So that's, I guess, good news if you are evacuated somewhere and away from work and getting your information together for those last year's tax filing, because now you got some extra time to deal with, and so you can get back to focusing on your disaster cleanup and fixing your fences and whatnot. All right, so here's some really good news. So it's been bad news. We kind of been out in LaPlace and out in Houma as well, and we see that those guys got beat really bad by the wind and the storm, and there's a lot of destruction everywhere. But to I guess cheer everybody up here, some good news is this story here. You may have seen this on a few news sources, but there was a cow, and I don't know how this happened, but down in Reggio, which is the eastern end of St. Bernard Parish, somehow this cow gets stranded in a tree and was stuck there. So next day after the storm had passed, some parish workers there, you can see the St. Bernard Parish logo on the guy's shirt, but they were out doing the beginning process of debris removal and getting kind of those roads passable, and they noticed that the cow was stuck in a tree. So they moved into position, and after quite a bit of work, they were able to get the cow free from being wedged in the tree. The calf was sitting there on the other side, just not knowing what to do. The mom was stuck in a tree. But anyway, so now we see that they are both happily wandering around the mess that's was still in place back at that earlier this week. But they're wandering around the area down there in Reggio, and they're doing what cows do. So some happy news there, I guess. So that's about it for this week. We here in St. Bernard and in Orleans Parish definitely dodged a bullet on this storm here. Pretty minor damage from what I've seen in my driving around here. But I think now is the time to really kind of try and help other people out. So whether it's money, time, materials, I think it's kind of almost like an obligation for everybody to kind of help others out in this tough times here, because I was there late last week and we saw how bad the damage still was, and they got a long road to recovery ahead of them. So the more help the better. It's just sometimes those little small amounts of time and money really will go a long way to improving somebody's state of mind who's probably very exhausted and stressed out when dealing with all this stuff. So with that, have a good week, and have a good weekend first, and then enjoy some of this cooler weather now. So we've got a little bit of a cool front going on here, but enjoy it, do something good, and we'll see y'all back at it, working hard and making money on